Good evening and welcome to Pioneer Valley Regional School District School Committee's meeting tonight, Thursday, March 13th at 6:03. I'm going to call this meeting to order. It looks like everybody is here present. Excellent. Okay. So, citizens' comments. Yes.
First of all, I'm Jane Dutcher from Bernardston. I'm so happy that you have put the question of using the lawyer who serves the school district back on the agenda, because it seemed to me that there was misunderstanding as to what we were asking for. And hopefully now that's all cleared up. And for those, I know there are some people on this committee who were not residents of the area when the six-town planning board was established. So I thought I would just mention that it was a vote of each of the annual town meeting, or I don't know if it's annual, of town meetings of each of the six districts, six towns in the two districts that wanted to do this exploration. And that's why the committee was formed. And it has 3 representatives from each town, one of which must be a school committee member. So there are a lot of school committee members on this six-town district. Anyway, that's not what I'm here for. I'm here for to say, please vote to allow your attorney to serve us also, because he's well experienced in examining district agreements at this point, or at least he's had lots of experience reading them. It would help us tremendously, and Gil Montague has already approved that use. So thank you for considering it again, and I look forward to your positive votes. Thank you.
Thank you, Jane.
Yeah, of course.
So my name is Alan Genovese, and I feel like I'm coming home because I know so many faces. I just want to say I actually didn't go to the town meeting in Warwick when they, had this discussion and formed this committee. But I was invited to go to their first meeting, which was in December, to learn more about it. And when I got there, there was discussion, and then I was nominated to serve as chair, of which I declined the first time. I said, no, I'm just coming on board. I want to learn more. And I declined a couple times, and then they said, well, you have this experience and so forth. So I finally agreed to with a co-chair and so forth. So that's how I became involved in this. But I was intrigued because this is something that the towns were looking to do. And whenever that happens, it's kind of a little awkward when you're working with a committee that the towns have formed. I found it a challenge, but I am very interested in education. I dedicated my whole life to that. So I want to thank you, Melissa, for putting this back on the agenda. Mm-hmm. And I do apologize for not coming to that meeting where you first discussed this. I sent correspondence, but I think it was kind of confusing the way I wrote the correspondence. And the ask was simple. I was trying to just get to the point and ask if you would allow the attorney to provide a technical review. That's the only thing the attorney would be doing at this aspect of it. And I think there was confusion in the way that I had worded that. So I appreciate you putting this back on the agenda again. And I also give the attorney credit, because I think that was a smart move on his part to ask, well, full disclosure, I'd like each of the school committees to give the green light. Warwick did, as Jane said, Gil Montague did, and so we're looking for you. We don't have a lot of money in our grant, and so we're trying, like you, to make that money go as far as possible. So we feel that the legal counsel, this would not be a very heavy lift because of all the experience that that he has in this area. So we're expecting he'd be able to do this in a short amount of time. And we could check that box because we have a lot of other things we have to do. So I will stay, and if you have any other questions when you come to that, I'd be more than happy to try to address them. I would also request if you're amenable to moving this up a little bit on the agenda. If not, I'm fine. We'll wait for our turn, but given the circumstances and people here, that might be good to talk about it while we have an opportunity. So I thank you. And I want to congratulate you for all the good work you're doing. I follow it. I think that your obligation, you're totally fulfilling it and providing the best education to the kids that you can, plan for the future. That should never stop. And I've said that publicly. So just want you to know where I'm coming from. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. Do we have any other citizens' comments? Okay. So next is approval of minutes.
Oh, Anne's not here.
Anne is not here.
Okay, I'm going to speak.
So,
Yeah.
yep. So we can speak into the microphone. Anne will be joining us later, so she'll be watching this, the recording. So we can still move forward with the approval of the minutes. Okay. So the first minutes, she's,
there she is.
okay. Okay. We'll continue while she settles in so we don't rush her.
Yeah.
December 19th, 2024.
I have some.
You have some. Okay.
Does school committee members have? No? Okay.
Start us off.
Page 1, third box, election of school committee members. There's an option 1, option 2, option 3. Option 3, it says is what is currently proposed. Option 3 is currently what is in place. I'm on page 1.
Yep.
Did you see it?
Yep.
Yep. The last line of that page, she noted Leiden has not been able to fill its 3 seats. I might change that to Leiden has not been able to fill all of its 3 seats. I wouldn't want to give the impression that Leiden has not filled any seats. Page 2. You can just call me Karen right now. Karen O'Neill. O'Neill, not just Karen. I'm taking on that mantle. Okay. Page 3, number 9. The last word is adequate. Yep. Page 4, item number 27. We're on the December 19th. Page 4, item number 27, second paragraph, second to last line. I think that's supposed to be, she recognized the school committee's number 1 priority instead of and number 1. That's it for me.
All right. Moving on to February 6th.
Gesundheit.
This was the budget hearing.
Raina, do you have something? No. Okay, page 2. 1, 2, third paragraph. It says concern was raised about the elimination of 8 teaching positions. My recollection is that comment was about the decrease in size of the teaching force over a number of years. So I would ask that be changed to the elimination of up to 8 teaching positions over the past several years.
Okay. On to February 13th, 2025.
I have one on page 3. Item number 4, Roman numeral 2. Cheryl George, I believe that's
Yeah.
Cheryl Brown. Or
Brown. Rena,
Okay.
is that it?
That's,
Okay, I have more. Going back to page 2. Section C, PVRS, item 1, competency determination. Middle of the paragraph, she noted the Teaching and Learning Subcommittee plans to work, I would strike with other districts to work. So strike with other districts to work. And then in this paragraph number 2, sorry, math changes. I think that also was consultant Aaron Scanlon-Amy and not Superintendent Kinsella.
Yes.
So for both 2 and 3, I think it would be Mrs. Scanlon-Amy and Aaron Scanlon-Amy. Page 3, item number 3, last sentence. Had been contacted by the Mass Attorney General about a lawsuit against Meta and TikTok.
Okay.
Those are the specific companies, yep. Page 4. Page 4, item H, Six-Town request for legal services. I think there was a clarification by the chair. So before, the last sentence currently reads, "No new vote was taken on the subject." I would recommend adding a sentence to reflect what the chair said before that. My suggested sentence is, Attorney Duperay would need to consult with the Board of Bar Overseers and the State Ethics Commission to determine if there is a conflict of interest. That is
Yep.
correct? Yes.
That is correct.
Did you get that in? The Board of Bar Overseers and the State Ethics Commission to determine if there is a conflict of interest.
Okay, sorry, Board of
Bar Overseers, the State Ethics Commission.
Yep.
Paragraph H, second to last line, at the end of the line, on a motion by Martin and seconded, ED at the end of second.
and second by Osborne. No, that's right.
Oh, I, section I.
Okay,
Section I, yep.
sorry, section I. It's not seconded? Or is
On
it
a
on a motion?
by
Okay, my
Martin and a
bad, thank you.
second by-
But there should
Yep.
be a period before.
Oh,
Make your note
no,
the
not
half
the,
day
before the
half day.
December
Yeah.
vacation.
oh,
Right,
Yeah, that's the issue,
there you go.
period.
Page 5, paragraph K, about the middle. I think we need to clarify the content of the letter. Kinsella also shared a letter from Desi acknowledging the work of PVRSD and encouraging the district to continue seeking new tuition agreements. They did not encourage,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. February 27th, 2025 minutes. This is the special school committee meeting. Patricia, do you
Nope,
have anything?
nothing.
Okay. Great. Okay. Would anyone like to make a motion to accept the minutes as amended?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of December 19th, 2024, February 6th, 2025, February 13th, 2025, and February 27th, 2025 as amended.
Second. Second.
Okay. All in favor? We can just raise our hands since no one's on. Look at that. Okay.
Uh,
Unanimous. Perfect. Okay. So I am going to request, before we get into the reports, that we move business A, which is the fiscal overseer, Joe Scanlon, B, the PVRS program of studies presentation, and the E, elementary math, and G to move forward before the reports. So we would go A, B, E, G. Then we would go to reports and the rest of the new business. Yes? Okay, perfect. Okay, so let's start with the fiscal overseer, Joe Scanlon. Hi, welcome.
Having me in. I'm in consideration for the position in terms of reviewing the fiscal overseer. It's the position that Cammie has been doing. When she was approved being the treasurer of the district as knowing. I think what it was is a little bit short-term, because you're really not supposed to have your treasurer and your business operations together. So at some point, the decision was made, whether you made it or the state made it, to split in
Right.
half. So I'll be reacting to what Cammie gives me, checking in, whether or not the numbers are true, and then reporting in. I have immediate background on this. I did this in Wachusett Regional. I went in there specific. I told him the story. People thought I was crazy because they fired the business manager and they fired the superintendent because they overspent the budget by $1.3 million and then had to cut the budget the next year by $1.5 million because it was built over that. Mm-hmm. So what my job was for 3 years is to basically commit to the school committee and all the finance boards, 5 towns, 22 school committee members, made available any information, answered every question. And so when I left, go to a different job, the article in the paper was, he did exactly what he was hired to do. So I had 6 years in Wachusett. Hopefully I'll have 6 months here before we can finish up. So that's a little bit of my background. Any questions?
Okay. Anyone have any questions? So just to review the memo, and so also the public is following along if you're watching. Mr. Scanlon has been recommended by DESE to serve as our district state-appointed fiscal overseer. He is certified as a Massachusetts school business administrator. He has over 20 years of experience in school finance and facilities management, including over 10 years of experience in regional schools. He also holds a master's degree in administration. So I think we actually need to hold the motion to appoint until we discuss
Oh, you have
in executive session to look at the contract. So what we're going to do, Mr. Scanlon, is at the very end of the meeting, we go into executive session.
Okay.
We'll discuss your contract, and then we will have a public vote after, and then we will be in contact. If that,
I have
Sounds
no
okay.
problem.
okay,
Be happy to talk to Jordan at some point.
great.
Good
Yeah.
news or bad news?
Right, right. Does anyone have any questions before he, no? Okay.
Yeah, I'll let you know how the vote went as soon as maybe this evening.
Yeah. Thank you very much for
Thank you, Mr.
coming.
Scanlon.
Thank you.
Okay.
Oh, that's coming up in my superintendent's report, don't you worry.
Okay. So next is the PVRS Program of Studies presentation.
And I just want to check, Tyler, is it working well with the mics where they are for the guests?
Yeah, I suppose it could always be closer.
Can never
There
be
you
too
go, Andy.
close.
Thank you. School committee, you have a copy of the, we gave you a paper copy of the program of studies for you to follow along. So I'm going to take just 60 seconds to put this in context. So 4 years ago, maybe 3.5 years ago, when I first started looking at our program of studies, it was clear it had not had an overhaul in many years. And we were at a point where we weren't necessarily enthusiastically adding lots of new courses, reviewing courses, and the current proposed draft that you have in front of you marks a significant change. And that change is a direct result of the leadership of the two women in front of you, both new to the district, and my goodness. So September, October, November, December, January, February, March, 7 months in as a duo, and how much they have accomplished and how they have established themselves as a high-performing team. So thank you, and please.
Great, well, thank you. So I'm just going to give an overview of what we're going to do here. So we're going to go through the program of studies with you kind of page by page and talk about some of the changes, new courses that are being offered, new opportunities for students. You'll have a chance to ask any clarifying questions for us. I want to talk a little bit about the timeline of this process and kind of echo a little bit of what Superintendent Kinsella just said. So last year, I think my maybe second time in front of the school committee. I came in August, and we approved you approved the program of studies in August of 2024, and now here we are in March of 2024. And we are looking at the program of studies and hopefully approving it here tonight. So this represents a pretty significant change, and that change absolutely would not be possible without the work of Ms. Carney. Mm-hmm. So I think, she has been in many ways an amazing asset to this school. This is not a small contribution that she is making to us. So I really thank you, Amy. You've done amazing work. So tonight we're going to look at the program of studies. Hopefully you approve it. Starting very soon, starting with Judah's class, Ms. Carney will be meeting with the rising seniors, and they will be selecting their classes from the program of studies, and they'll be entering that directly into Plus Portal, which is a much more streamlined system than has happened in the past. And then Ms. Carney and I will be meeting in late March, early April to build the schedule based on student interest in courses, and teachers will be getting their class assignments at the end of April instead of the beginning of September. So again, like some real formalization of this process, which I think will be really good. One significant change to the process other than the timeline is we're going to talk about courses that are in the program of studies that won't run next year. And that's really intentional. So in the past, what has happened is that courses have been put out to students and they chose if they wanted to be in the course or not, but the school had really already committed to running the course regardless if 15 kids signed up or 2 kids signed up. And that ended up limiting student choice. And one of the things that we have heard from our students is they want a say, reasonably so, in the classes that they get to take. So students will have a larger list of courses to choose from than we can ultimately offer. Amy and I will go through the course tallies once students have chosen their first choice, second choice classes. And then if there's a class that only has 2 kids, we won't run it. If there's a class that has 35 kids signed up for it, we'll look at can we run 2 sections. So that is kind of a change in process that is happening here. And again, all this made possible by Ms. Carney. So without further ado, I think we can get started on the actual business. All right, we are going to start by flipping through to page 5. So new text is in green. And looking at the Massachusetts competency determination. So as school committee is already aware, there have been some major changes across the state to how competency is determined. It used to be that students fulfilled mass core requirements and had to pass the MCAS in 10th grade. That is no longer the case, that students have to pass the MCAS in 10th grade. And so if you look at the second paragraph on page 5, it says MCAS is no longer part of the competency determination. The school committee will be working in the coming months to establish the metrics that Pioneer will use to determine competency. And once this work is completed, the handbook will need to be updated. So that's just formally noting that this is still work that needs to be done. So Superintendent Kinsella, do you want to do questions all at the end or as we go along?
I think as you go along.
As we go along?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
as you go
Okay,
go along.
and I should have directed that to you, Ms. Gary, I apologize.
That's okay. Yeah, as we go along, I would
Okay.
say. Yeah.
So any questions about that change? All right. And then Amy, you want to talk about environmental pathways?
Great. Well, thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here. I have loved my time here at Pioneer, and the students are wonderful, and that's what makes this just a great place to work. So I'm happy that you're open to these changes, and we are thriving. So the environmental pathway, as you know, we were a recipient of the grant for the Environmental and Life Sciences Innovation Career Pathway. It was just in the recorder the other day, yay! And so what this means for our students is that they are going to be, if they want to pursue this pathway, they will be taking specific courses. So they're gonna be taking some technical courses and then some advanced courses, paired with an internship opportunity or a capstone experience, as well as receiving an industry recognized certification. So I know that's a lot. On the second page, it kind of breaks down on page 7 the technical courses, which Ms. Scanlon Amy will go into some of the new courses. But the beautiful thing is that we are sort of making this opportunity available to more students. So the more classes we can offer, the more students who will be able to be in this pathway and who can sort of get that hands-on experience and sort of be prepared for, post-secondary education and high demand environmental careers. So it's amazing. We have 4 seniors right now who are in the process of earning this designation, and they have current either internship placements or are doing some great capstone projects. And so I'm excited for this program to just build, and I'm excited to be able to offer some of these classes to kids. They're so exciting. So that's sort of so this is new language for the program of studies. And then on page 7 are some of the newer courses, which we'll go into later. Do you have any questions? I'd be happy to answer. Yes.
Thank you very much for this really inspirational work and very forward-looking for the district and our students. And speaking as a daughter who's an ecology major, very grateful for her time at Pioneer, made this possible. I apologize. The acronym PLTW.
Oh, project, sorry.
That stands for Project Lead the Way.
Okay,
It
thank
is
you.
a
Just
science curriculum that is a project-based learning science curriculum.
Very good. Okay, thank you. And I appreciate speaking as a former science teacher, so it's very grateful. They're just, what I'm just noticing is a lot of proposed fors, and which I'm grateful for, parenthetically, but it seems that we're entering new ground, and I would just, given the sort of provisional nature of the courses, as you mentioned, students choosing certain courses, are we likely to see, would you expect to see each of these courses fulfilled in practice? Because otherwise, if you took away each of the proposals, you'd have very few courses. So I guess I'm just trying to understand how much of this is likely to happen as a result of student choice or our resources, and how much is sort of really in the air, in which case the pathway isn't as robust as it might appear, sort of in draft. Thank you.
Yes, so I'll start, and then if you want to join in. So we are so the teacher who is sort of going to be teaching some of these classes is talking that up in the courses now. I hope all the teachers are talking about their courses for next year. And so I'm also going to be providing a presentation to each class highlighting the new courses so that they know what they are, because I don't expect all the students to be studying this and kind of knowing it. So we are going to be highlighting it. And so you will see later in the program of studies the description, and I think that's where the kids are really gonna hang on to this, because they're gonna be able to get outside. They're gonna be, they're gonna be really delving into it, and the teacher's fantastic too. And so I would like to think that these will run. I think we have to see what the kids ultimately sign up for, but I imagine they will be excited about this.
Yeah, I would think that maybe one might not run, but that pretty much all of them would run, in part because kids have to pick something. Like they can't not pick classes. So, when we talk about student choice, it's not unlimited, but it does mean that like there might be one class that just doesn't have enough interest and we don't run that one class. But that's not necessarily a bad thing, because that might mean that we get to run 2 sections of another class that has a ton of interest.
Just be clear, I'm enthusiastic. I'll be happy to join any of these classes and take in the other students. Just noting, what would turn the key for these to actually occur, and appreciating that. Thank you.
Yeah, definitely. Any other questions on this environmental pathway? Am I next?
I think you're next
Oh,
for
I'm
online
next.
learning.
Okay, I'm also up for online learning. So when I started here, I didn't know the student body just yet, so they were kind of a name, right? And then they said, well, I want to take this online class. And some of the reasons why students took an online class through virtual high school was that we weren't offering that subject. And so they were looking to explore other topics. And I said, okay, great, that sounds wonderful. And then we sort of started to get into it, and I started to realize that students weren't performing very well in the online classes. They were extremely challenging. They were very time consuming, and the support was through a virtual teacher. And so I just felt like it sort of did a disservice to many of our students, just because of the structure of it. And again, they didn't perform well. So now when a student is looking to enroll in a specific topic that's rigorous, I'm a bit hesitant to sort of go that path. Because it takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of motivation, and just a commitment to it. And so that's why we're proposing to sort of not offer the virtual high school courses next year.
Do you know about how many students participated in that?
Yeah, so we had... Yep, we had 11 students. We have 3 doing a full year course. Okay. We had one of them is a self-paced course out of the 3. We had probably 6 first semester, so we had more. Okay. We have 2 second semester, because word spread quickly that first semester didn't go well, and so we really sort of some of those classes it didn't reflect well in the transcript.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I have to say, my observations of virtual high school, it's seems like a great way to offer some diversity in courses, but it's also it's again not a great option for most learners. So I was not sad to see that go.
Yeah, so. I'm open to other platforms, but this one specifically seems not great for our students.
Okay. Great.
I think also just encouraging students who want to have a more diverse set of course options than we can offer at Pioneer to look at our dual enrollment program, which kids are successful with and do have positive experiences with. And I think one of my big goals for students at Pioneer is that they can imagine themselves in different settings. And so being, able to go to GCC, participate in a class on a community college campus is much more conducive to that than a student sitting in the guidance office on their computer talking to a virtual teacher. Like, there's not a lot of scope for imagination there. All right. So if we turn to page 8, there's just a very small change. At the very top, at the bottom under teaching assistants, teaching assistants used to be open to juniors and seniors, and we are limiting that to juniors, and that's my call.
To seniors.
To seniors, and that's my call. I really want the junior year for students to be a highly rigorous year, where they're pushing themselves to be taking as many classes as they can. And that if we're going to do a teaching assistantship, that be reserved for, one teaching assistant in your senior year. If we move, okay, so page 11, Amy, you want to talk about course withdrawals?
Could we just quickly pause,
sure.
sorry, and look at page 10?
Yep.
Because that really drew my attention.
I'm going to go back to
You're
page
gonna
10.
go back to page 10. Okay, great. Great. Thank you. Wait.
So the change in the withdrawal from a course is changing it from the first 5 school days, where students are coming out of a class and choosing something else, allowing 10 school days. And the reason for that was basically the second part of this, with the withdrawal being on the transcript. So I was a little concerned that after 5 days, we'd be putting a W withdrawal on a student's transcript, and I just felt like that was not in their best interest. I wanted to allow more time to be thoughtful about the courses and to sort of give a little grace there of just like that exploration without having such a negative marking on their transcript. So that's why I was proposing to move that to 10 days.
And part of the rationale for that is that when colleges see a W, they are making the assumption that a student could not do the course, and that's why they withdrew, not that a student realized, like, oh, this course isn't really for me. Like, I don't love it. In fact, I would be better served by doing something different. And so we didn't want to send, it wasn't just that, like, it's bad for the kids. It was like we were misrepresenting what was actually happening. And this change is in keeping with surrounding districts, so we're more norming ourselves with other schools. To have 5 days, we were a bit of an outlier.
Right.
Are there any questions on that? Okay.
All right, we can go back to page 10. Do I need this? I mean, I'm happy to talk right into it.
Well, it's helpful for
Okay.
the people at home and the recording.
Okay.
So yes, please.
So page 10 gives an overview of new courses that are being proposed are in green, and courses that are being taken out of the transcript have a strike through in them. I'm going to walk us through some of the course descriptions of new courses in just a moment, but I'm happy to answer any questions about page 10, which kind of just gives like a list and categorizes them so that when the purpose of page 10 is so that students can kind of get an overview and say, okay, what are my science options? What are my math options? And then they go look at the course description. If a student knows, like, I'm not taking AP Calculus, I have no interest in that, they don't need to look at the AP Calc description, but it lists everything there. Melissa, did you have specific questions about it?
So I just wanted to note that green is new.
Yep.
Correct. And the courses that are crossed out, emergency care, introduction to medicine, what was the decision to not offer certain classes?
So some of that is cleaning up the program of studies. So there are some classes that have been in the program of studies that haven't been offered for an extended period of time, but they were still in here. That's not necessarily a bad thing because it means you can bring them back in the future. But if a course has not had interest or a teacher to teach it for a number of years, at some point you want to kind of remove it and add in new courses. And then some of it is making decisions about we're adding a bunch of new courses and we only have so many students and we only have so many teachers. So by necessity, some things need to come off.
Right. So what I'm seeing here is the exact opposite of what I have heard, where we're cutting, people have asked, we're cutting courses or we're cutting, and that is not the case.
No.
And so if people are following along with our school committee meetings and they're seeing our investment and reading the newspaper and seeing the program of studies, we are actually really developing a really strong set of courses, and that actually is not the correct narrative that that I have heard. So I just wanted to highlight that.
We are absolutely, there are no courses that are struck out here that we offered this year that we're saying, oh, we're not offering that next year. These are courses that have kind of languished on the books, but that haven't actually been taught. And so we're cleaning up and we're saying, okay, like this is not a course that seems to have a lot of interest.
Right.
We're going to offer some new courses that do.
Thank you.
Also share the course list in the school profile, which gets shared with colleges. So I think it's nice to have an accurate list of courses so that colleges can see what we offer also.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, go ahead, Steve.
I'm not sure if we're headed off of page 10. Are you headed beyond page 10?
We are, but I can answer another question about page 10 if you want.
Page 10 question. Thank you, yes, or observation. The observation is, just to give a shout out first to page 8, going backwards, and even beyond that, to page 6. The Greater Northfield Watershed Association, Northeast Paving, Up and Gill Farm. I just want to thank members of our business community and nonprofit community for their partnerships, which I think is a sign of a very healthy district when it's working with its community, and the excellent resources and organizations and companies we have in the area. And just saw an article on Roman concrete, so thinking about Northeast paving, like that'll be around for a while. I think we need to learn more, but it does strike me that also on page 10 that there are the other opportunities perhaps for work with community organizations, whether personal fitness and strength conditioning could be one, creative writing, yearbook and marketing, I noticed, stagecraft. And so I'm wondering if there is this sort of developing sense in curriculum development that part of this will involve entities outside the building. And if so, great. If not, I really appreciate that we could cultivate that. So thank you.
Yeah, actually, we have, Amy, you're going to correct me if I'm wrong, but we have a student right now who is kind of bridging her love of writing and her love of science and is doing an internship with, is it the trustees?
The Franklin Land Trust.
The Franklin Land Trust with, I'm going to let Amy talk about it because she's going to be able to speak much more specifically than I
Yeah,
will.
so she's doing an internship with the Franklin Land Trust, and then currently when I was talking to her, she's drafting up some documents for them. So she's using her sort of passion to combine the environment and writing at the same time, and she's hitting the ground running with that one. So yeah. I'll also just say I have bridged over to Vermont and made a connection with the game warden in Vermont, and so trying to sort of because I support students of all wherever they live, and so it's nice to be able to make those connections to Vermont as well. So.
But yes, it's a point well taken, and we'll talk about some of the interconnectedness that we're trying to build in the building between classes, and then some of the opportunities that might open up outside of the building.
I have one question, sorry, about page 10.
Yeah.
So, first of all, I love the courses that you've offered. And as a nurse, I'm interested in, so it looks like emergency care and introduction to medicine are no longer being offered. And the course descriptions are, it sounded like a great class, and so I wasn't sure, did you not have interest in those courses? Because it seems like students getting their CPR and first aid certifications, and just with the close connection we have to GCC for nursing and the need for healthcare providers, I wonder is there a plan to do something in its place? Because intercultural foods is being offered, but introduction to medicine is not. It just feels a little strange.
That's a great question. I would imagine that is a staffing, to my knowledge. So we've gone through the teachers and seen what people and how many blocks they can teach in a day. And so I imagine I would love to bring that back, and maybe that's a goal for future years. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
And then I think also there is some overlap. So for example, as part of the environmental pathway, students have an opportunity to participate in a wilderness first aid. Are you doing that, Judah? A wilderness first aid certification where we have an organization that's coming in. They're going to do a 2 full day training with students. So they will not only get CPR certified, they're going to get a wilderness first aid certification. And talking about community connections, when I went in to tell Miss Carney and the students about it, I had a student sat like right there, and he was like, great, this means I get a raise at work. So like kids immediately see the connection to, you know, real life of like, he's like, I'm going to be there.
Plus, we're lucky here at GCC, they have the Wilderness Leadership Program, and a lot of these will be really desirable.
Yes, and we have been working with them. We have a day with them May 1st. Yeah.
And you know, UMass has an incredible forestry and wildlife management program also that's really complementary to your environmental pathways. Yeah, I love that. Yeah, it's really great.
Yeah, I'm excited, so it's great.
All right. So looking at, I'm not going to go over every single new course. I'm happy to answer any specific questions that people have, but I did want to just highlight a few of them. So one of the areas where we are seeing a big growth in our courses is under our computer technology and engineering section. So if you start looking on page 12 and 13, we have a number of classes that we are proposing for next year. We have a rethinking about our high school engineering class, a new proposed class at looking at systems engineering and the principles of design. That would be a high school elective class. And then if you turn the page, some other proposed options, PLTW, Project Lead the Way, is a highly respected project-based learning curriculum that is offered at a number of different communities around the state. And we're proposing 2 Project Lead the Way classes for next year. Introduction to Engineering Design, which would be a upper level class primarily for probably sophomores, juniors, and seniors. I don't know that a ton of freshmen would take it. And a green architecture class, which would be open to all students in grade 9 through 12. It would be a semester-long class. One of our community partnerships that we're looking at, we have Canon Design coming in to do an architecture day with our students, and they are the teacher who's going to be teaching green architecture is going to be working with them to do some like hands-on learning with students specifically related to this class. So as part of the environmental class pathway, we have money set aside to build an outdoor classroom. And one of the things that's really important with any building of space is where are we going to put it? And so when Canon Design comes in, they're going to go out and provide to kids context of how do we determine the site that we would build something on? Because kids often think of architecture as just like, okay, I'm going to get a pen or a pencil and I'm going to like draw up some plans, and that's what architecture is. And so they're going to be like really exposing kids to what architecture is like, and then students who take the class, should it run, would have a chance to actually participate in helping to do some of the design and building and permitting and planning around this classroom, which then they get to learn in. So that's really exciting. Sustainable forestry course and our wilderness engineering course. So these are courses that would be working on our land and having students really think about how do we use the land that our campus is situated on. We have this gift of this really ecologically diverse campus, and so how do we bring the learning out of the classroom and into the land? So those are some of the overviews of new classes that we're offering in the engineering. Any questions about engineering? I think these classes will run, Steve. I think these are going to be pretty popular.
I'd sign up for it. Like, ooh, I have a hard time picking which one.
There's been a lot of adults saying they'd sign up for our classes. This might be a revenue stream. We'll just charge the standard going rate in the higher education industry.
Your graduates are increasing in age, though. So
Great retention.
Some of you might have athletic eligibility remaining.
Not that we need it.
Yeah, right.
If we turn to page 16, one new course that we're offering that we're highlighting is our high school theater course. So we have offered middle school theater, and that's great. But if you like theater and you took it in middle school, you probably want to keep taking it. Like, you probably don't want to stop in 8th grade.
Right.
And so this is an opportunity for our students to continue their study of theater at the high school level. So this is a class that students can take for a semester, or they can take for a full year. So it's not the class will be designed so that each semester is distinct enough that if students took it for a full year, they're not just doing the same thing over again, and allows us to grow our theater department. And one of the classes that I think, did the description not make it in here? Is this a mistake on our part? Stagecraft.
Oh, I don't know if it's in
I think it might be in the woodshop section. Is that accurate?
Yes,
Okay.
it is in the
So
workshop section.
if we look ahead, are you seeing the page, Jordan?
I don't see
Push
a
me
wood
beyond
shop.
my.
Yeah, I think it should
I
be
don't
under
see-
engineering, so that's a mistake and that'll be added.
It shows up in the index, but I don't see it on the pages.
Yeah.
See wood shop.
So it should be in engineering, because we don't have a separate wood shop section. All of our wood.
Oh, it's in
The wood shop is
Yeah.
on page 13.
It is on page
Shop
13.
underneath.
So the stagecraft class goes with the theater class. It will be offered, stagecraft will only be offered for one semester. It will be offered in the spring semester, which is when we have our high school musical. And that will allow those students, will be the students who are designing, building the sets, doing the lights, and giving students an opportunity to learn, how do I take my carpentry skills and or my interest in sound engineering and apply it in an authentic setting, and at the same time give back to the larger community, so that when students are walking onto stage for their play, they're walking onto a stage that is like, it's been designed for them. It feels like a really special place. So I'm really excited about that. I think it's going to be, again, a high interest class and a way to bring students into the theater department, because a lot of kids love theater, but they don't want to act. That's not their wheelhouse. And so it broadens the experience within the theater program to include more students. And I apologize for the oversight on the, I don't know, we must, between the three of us, we looked at this constantly, but.
Can I make one more comment too? Also, I just noticed that you added anatomy and physiology. So I take
Yes.
back my previous statement, and they can get their CPR certification somewhere else. That's great. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
really great.
that is backed by popular demand. Students really wanted that class, and so we're bringing it back for next year.
I haven't let go of those classes.
So any questions about theater? Okay, we can move ahead to math on 23, 24, and 25. So I won't talk a lot about this because we spoke about it at the last meeting, and there's nothing here that should be new or surprising to anybody who was at that meeting. But this is our adding into the program of studies the switch from integrated math to algebra, geometry, algebra 2 sequence, and the move to adopt the Reveal curriculum for those three classes. So that's what's here. Is we have integrated would have a different course description because it covers different material. So we now have the course descriptions that go along with algebra 1, geometry, and algebra 2.
I just have a question about exciting. I mean, I know we're doing the reveal math curriculum, but I'm just curious if we need to actually say what curriculum we're using, because it pigeonholes us if we end up using a different curriculum, but we still stay on the AGA track, right? So like, if we just said the foundation of the grades 9 and 10 mathematics programs at Pioneer is Algebra 1, Geometry, and Algebra 2 sequence, period. This structure ensures a clear progression of math concepts, where we just don't highlight other curriculums that we use within our program of studies. I'm just wondering.
So the previous program of studies did reference the other math curriculum.
Okay.
So I'm fine with taking out. Also, I think, we revise the program of studies every year.
Right,
So
okay.
if we were to decide next year, I hope not, because that would be disruptive. But like, if we were to decide, let's say even 5 years from now,
Yeah.
you know what? There's a great curriculum just came out, and we want the best thing for our kids. We're going to adopt that new curriculum. It would be we could easily change it in that document, but I defer to the school committee. Either is fine.
Okay. Yeah, it was just something I noticed that was different. Okay.
All right, so moving along to science. If we look at page 27, 2 changes here. One is a change in our 9th grade science course. So we had some time this year for our science teachers to look at courses and look at vertical alignment 9 through 12. And one of the things that the science department noticed is that we are extremely life science heavy. So we have a lot of opportunities for students to take biology, earth science, anatomy, physiology, but we don't have a lot of, we don't offer a physics class. And so looking at adjusting our 9th grade curriculum so that students could take an introduction, that it would include an overview of the basic principles of kind of the 3 pillars of science, of biology, chemistry, and physics. Which would represent a change in the curriculum away from an ecology class into this overview of the 3 main branches of science, so that students can know what they're interested in. And maybe in the future we do offer a physics class if we hear from students that they really love physics and that's what they want to do. Or maybe students just know enough to be able to say for themselves, hey, I really want to take a dual enrollment physics class at GCC because this is something that really interests me. But it's hard for us. Students can't make choices about things they don't know about. The science curriculum in Massachusetts actually at the elementary too, but specifically at the middle school, spirals. So this would be a continuation of their 8th grade curriculum. So for students, it will feel, because they're rising 9th graders, it will feel very normal to them. And then we are adding in anatomy and physiology. This is a course that was in the program of studies, but we didn't offer this year because we didn't have the teaching staff to do it. But students have been very clear with Ms. Carney, with myself, that they really wanted the opportunity to take this class, and so we have prioritized it for this year.
Steve.
Thank you very much. Just briefly, I was just sort of regarding the idea of the antecedent to the 9th grade science course. Is the 8th grade science course, you mentioned spiraling sort of in middle school, is that more like an earth science or like?
No, it's,
I'm just curious.
So it's the standards for 7th and 8th grade science, and the Ms. Schreiber and Ms. Burstein can speak to the 6th grade better than I can, but I'm fairly certain 6th grade as well. Kind of take this approach of, rather than being a whole year of, let's say, physical science, that students get exposed to the kind of 3 cores of science, and that it's an overview, and then each year they're digging a little deeper into those 3 cores, rather than saying in 6th grade kids do a basic biology, in 7th grade they do a basic chemistry, in 8th grade they do a basic physics, which is how it was, I think, up until about 2016.
Thank you. And just a more specific question, we have the good fortune, it seems here, to Melissa's key point, of offering courses that are punching above our weight, as we've said, for Pioneer. And so I'm grateful to see AP Chemistry, both for the ecology track, but also available to students. And it just strikes me that's not easy to, I'm reflecting, that's not easy to offer as a small district. And I'm wondering, have we come into some sort of largesse or human resource that is a remarkable that
There is
able to
always
do-
hope.
Yes, yes. I hope.
Dr. Martin, there is
Thank you. I
always
know,
largesse.
Lord knows, yes.
One of our strategies has been, for instance, with English, we used to offer AP Comp and AP Lit every year. We don't need to do that. Just by offering them every other year, we free up a teacher, and the kids still have the same opportunity. Similarly, with something like AP Bio, AP Chemistry, offer them every other year, and we're good.
So you will notice there is no AP Bio, and so that those are decisions that get made.
And I just wonder if that might even be mentioned in the course catalog, so that.
Oh,
Yes.
good idea.
Sorry,
Right.
but
Planning.
so a student could think, oh my God, or
Maybe I'll take that in junior
this
year.
idea like we're alternating these just to bring that more into breathe.
I'm going to put a note, I'll
Sorry.
put a note about it,
Or
but
not,
Amy, will
or
you?
not.
No, I think that's really good. Something
I
about
think that's a great
alternating
idea.
courses for AP Bio and Chemistry?
Yeah, I don't know that we are offering AP Bio next year. I don't think that we've had a tremendous amount of student interest in AP Bio in the past, but we trained a teacher to do AP Chemistry, and she has really worked hard with her CP Chemistry students this year, because AP Chemistry is not, so often classes, just we're getting in the weeds here, often AP classes are instead of another class. So if you're taking AP American History, you're taking it instead of American History. AP Chemistry is not like that. It is on top of chemistry. So students must have a full year of chemistry, and then they take AP Chemistry if they choose to the following year. So you're right, it does represent a big commitment. And we needed a year to build up students' capacity to be able to meet that commitment. And we're trying. We'll see how it goes.
No, thank you.
We do have a lot of students enrolled in chemistry right now, so I'm just saying.
What's that?
We have a lot of students enrolled in
great.
chemistry. Yeah,
Great.
we do.
Did that teacher do boot camp?
Yes, she did.
Okay, so that means that we sent her to AP boot camp offered by the College Board.
It's intense.
In the summer. It's a week-long summer program for teachers. Yeah.
I
This
just-
is pretty exciting
yeah.
stuff. Can I'm
Yes.
getting, right?
Yeah.
This is,
Well, I think we're honoring the time,
yes, thank you.
and we're really
Thank you.
getting it. This is so important to our students, and I think to our committee, that going through this and taking the time is really important. So I just want to honor that as we go through this. Yeah.
And the work is amazing. I just want to point out on page 28, the prerequisites for biology and chemistry, name ecology, and should that be the 9th grade science instead? Or?
Yes, it should.
Okay. It's like,
Thank you.
if we're not offering
Amy,
that.
you'll
that-
make that change?
Yep, I've
You'll
got
make
it.
that.
Yep. Those are the courses that I wanted to highlight with you. I'm happy to answer additional questions, and I'm sure Amy is as well, if you have specific questions about the program of studies. There are other courses, but just, being mindful of time and, yeah.
I just had a question about the courses that will not run in 25-26. The plan is to implement those in I assume 26-27, or that those will be on a rotation of some sort.
Yeah, so we hear from students about what they are interested in. So I wouldn't want to say, sitting here, like, everything that we don't offer next year, we're going to offer the following year, because students change and their interests change and the world changes and the program of studies needs to change with it. But yes, as we hear from students like, oh, I really wish I had the opportunity to take this course, we are always looking at our program of studies and making sure that it reflects what we're hearing from them. And then we also try to think really thoughtfully about our own capacity, and I can give you an example. We thought about bringing on an additional Project Lead the Way course that would tie in really nicely with our environmental pathway. And I stand by that course. I think it's a great course and I would love to offer it. I also want to make sure that our teachers have the ability to teach all the great courses that we're offering really, really well. And if I ask a teacher to take on, 4 brand new classes in 1 year, I'm not setting them up for success. And so thinking about like, okay, we're going to bring on a class, we're going to train the teacher, make sure that they feel really solid in what they're doing before we say, and I'd like you to do another thing. And then those might be trade-offs where 1 year they're teaching, this one PLTW class, and the next year they're teaching a different PLTW class, and it flip-flops every year, but I wouldn't necessarily want to do it all at once.
Right.
Good.
I'm Judah. I'm going to put you on the spot. Well, he's yep. Tell me, what are you thinking as you hear this conversation? What would you like to add?
I think, everything looks incredible. The courses that I am seeing taken away are courses that I've heard from other students are, not necessarily like enjoyable or not something that they've, taken interest in. And so like the medicine, I think I would have been interested in that, but I don't think there was as much interest in like the whole student body. And the replacements, I am like in an 8B environmental class, and we have, a number of students in that class that are looking to go into the program next year, and it's really exciting. So I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you.
So much.
So
Nice to meet you.
Thank you both for your work.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. So, as Superintendent Kinsella just said, we would need a motion to approve the PVRS program of studies, I would say for 2025, 2026 as amended, because there were some changes.
I'll make a motion to approve the program of studies 2025-2026 as amended.
I'll second that.
Okay. All in favor? Okay.
Thank you.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Mrs. Scanlon, Amy. Thank you, Mrs. Carney. What an incredible advance, right?
That is so exciting.
Teachers, thank you.
Yes. Thank you.
Just amazing. Okay, more amazingness. Principal Burstein, Principal Schreiber, come on up, please. So when I came here, that first fall, the elementary schools were implementing collaborative classroom, which was a new literacy program. I had never seen it before. And so that's a big deal in elementary schools. And what I heard is this is, okay, great literacy, we really need something in math. And I have had to say for multiple years, yes, we will get to it. Yes, we will get to it. And finally, over the past year, there have been dedicated educators and administrators working collaboratively to explore options for elementary math. I need to acknowledge, I apologize to the Teaching and Learning Subcommittee because we should have brought you this. And just with all of this meeting, that meeting, I flubbed. So this is, the chair kindly gave permission for this to come straight to the school committee. That's why it didn't go to them first. So I eagerly hand this over to our elementary principals who have so capably stepped in over the past 6 months in the absence of a director of teaching and learning, and these two experienced professionals have led the process, not I. So thank you, and please go ahead.
Everybody, it's good to see you all again. So we'll start with our goal for this evening.
Can you just bring the microphone a little closer for people at home? Thank you.
And school committee, you have a memo in front of you that gives more of the details than might be in the presentation, but I just want to make sure that you have that in front of you. Thank you.
So our goal for tonight is we want you to feel confident about all the work that we've been doing, and the group last year was working on the elementary mathematics curriculum committee, as well as the pilot group this year. And all of their work, I want you to feel confident in the work that they've been doing, but also in their recommendation for curriculum adoption.
So we're also getting you situated in this presentation with
what is the problem that we are trying to solve here? And as Patricia alluded to, the problem we were trying to solve was that our mathematics curriculum was not well aligned vertically, and it was outdated, and it was time to have a refresh and to dig around and find a curriculum that was exciting for our students and for our teachers.
So a little bit of information. Last year we had the Elementary Mathematics Curriculum Committee. It had several classroom teachers from both elementary schools, as well as myself and Principal Schultz and Kate Mesmer as part of that committee. And then this year, from that committee, we made a recommendation to pilot one of the programs that we had looked at. And we had, once again, some teachers from both schools, from kindergarten through 5th grade. In kindergarten, 1st grade, 2nd grade, I guess we had everybody, one from each grade.
We did.
We did.
Yeah, we were well represented.
So from both schools.
Not pre-K.
No, not pre-K. And then once again, Sarah and I attempted to lead the group as best we could.
We did great.
And we did great.
We had very capable educators, working alongside us. So we had great raw material. So we did have a well-organized process that we went through over the course of the fall as teachers were implementing. But before we got to the fall, there was the spring. I'm sorry. So let's talk about last spring. Last spring was when the educators came together to identify their core values around math instruction, to consider what was non-negotiable in terms of the type of curriculum that they were seeking to adopt for students, and also to create a shared vision about what mathematics instruction in our district should look like. And in addition to defining all of that, they also needed to identify what options were out there for mathematics instruction in elementary school. And the resources that they leaned on were Curate, which you may be familiar with. It's part of DESE, and then also Ed Reports, which is another organization that reviews curriculum.
Then we asked the different publishing companies to provide us with some materials and actual samples from each of the different curriculums that we looked at. We looked at Eureka Math. Now I gotta remember how we looked up how to pronounce.
We did. The long A version is what we decided.
Illustrative Math.
Illustrative Math.
Into Math and Bridges. And we also visited different schools in the area after we had narrowed that down to a couple programs that we were really interested in and kind of fit our non-negotiables and our shared visions and beliefs, as well as using some curriculum rubrics that we used to look at the curriculum. We had narrowed it down. We looked at some local schools in Gil Montague as well as Greenfield at their classrooms that were using those curriculum.
By the end of the spring, teachers had identified Bridges Mathematics as the curriculum that they were hoping to pilot for this year. And so over the summer, those materials were ordered and teachers received them, and the pilot began in September. As teachers were implementing Bridges in their classrooms, that was across K through 5, we met 7 times between October and January to discuss how the implementation was going. And we had a lesson evaluation tool that teachers were completing weekly and bringing to the pilot as a way to organize their thinking and to really look critically at what was happening, both with the experience for students in the classroom, but accessibility of the materials for the teachers. What did the assessments look like? How well could they differentiate instruction? How user-friendly were both the teaching materials and the student materials? What was the setup of the workbooks? all kinds of tiny questions and much bigger questions as well. We garnered some student feedback. We shared what we were observing in classrooms, and teachers shared what they were observing among their students. We also had one session well into the school year of PD from the Math Learning Center.
Does anyone have any questions so far before we?
No, but I do just want to say, is this our local student art?
Yes.
Grade 4 and 5.
Because I have versions of this at my house.
Well, this was produced this year.
Okay,
Yes.
right, but
I know what
see,
you mean.
from the
Yes,
past.
yes.
Like I'm like I have a shockingly similar bear at my house.
Yes.
So I just wanted to
I
know
know,
that.
and it's like so sweet, and
Yes.
they all have such personality.
Yeah.
I
So
like
not to
little
detract
animals.
from your work at all. I just wanted to also notice
I really like
that
this
this
one,
is
too.
this is our own student artwork
Yes,
that's
it is.
incorporated in the presentation.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I would commission a piece. Yeah.
It does make you feel happy, doesn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And perfect. That's the optimism slide.
Yes,
There
okay,
we go.
perfect.
Thank you. That was perfectly timed.
We had just a few things we wanted to highlight about our experience with Bridges. One of the things that came up over and over again through all of our PLC meetings was how much our students were engaged in the mathematics in different ways, through discussions and through the
manipulative.
Thank you. And that came through in observations that we made in classrooms. It came through in the teachers and how they were talking about their experience with Bridges and Number Corner, which is a portion of the Bridges program, and how important that is to them in watching their students grow. And so that was like a huge piece, is just that engagement and the amount of student mathematical talk and use of vocabulary on a daily basis was huge.
And we have seen that, heard that across the grade levels. So the quality of math talk among kindergartners and first graders all the way up through grade 6 is really pretty remarkable. And the Bridges program also has specific phrases that span, and there's a really good emphasis on mathematical vocabulary as well, and which is also accompanied by visual models, which is also a really important theme in Bridges, is the use of a range of visual models to represent math. So there's a big emphasis on the conceptual learning of mathematics through discussion and visual models and games. I think we had one teacher early on in the pilot who said, I have never heard so much math talk and such high quality math talk among our students. And we had lots of amazing student quotes too.
Yes. So one of them, because I always think that is very telling when students are excited about math.
Yeah.
And one said, we didn't know we knew so much, and just their talking. Or you want to talk about the one that you said?
Yeah, I was observing a math lesson which the end goal was to teach the concept of exponents in 5th grade. And it in Bridges, it doesn't begin with like, good morning, I'm going to show you an exponent, and then I'm going to show you how it works. It builds up. And so as the teacher was layering in the concepts, lots of back and forth, good conversation, then it was time for students to practice. And one 5th grader just piped up, it just clicked, it's working. Like, yes, math is working. It's not magical. It all can make sense. That was really exciting to hear that.
Megan Damaris in my school, 3rd grade teacher, said, and Bridges has taken the best components of all the other programs I have taught and brought them together in a logical sequence, which I thought was very telling.
That's a big endorsement.
Yeah.
It certainly is.
For me, as a principal and as someone who's taught grade, from first grade to sixth grade, I thought the common vocabulary and routines was really important to see that across the grades. And hearing that level of language is being used, even in kindergarten, is amazing. That students are able to, on a regular basis, be using some of that math vocabulary.
And to really defend their thinking, and to also be open to multiple perspectives on approaching mathematical problem solving. And so there is a lot of talk of, I see the problem this way, and here's why. I solve the problem another way, and here's why, and here's how I did that. I think it's also important for us to recognize that there is no perfect elementary mathematics curriculum program, and so we know that we need to layer in some robust professional development. We know that this is a program that takes a couple of years for teachers to feel real fluency with it. There are a lot of moving parts within Bridges. You're learning to teach Number Corner as well as Bridges. There's a lot of stuff, but we're well aware of many of the challenges, and we've got some good plans in place. If this curriculum is adopted, we've got some plans for how to support our teachers with that implementation.
So sixth grade, just as a sixth grade teacher.
And Bridges taps out at grade 5.
Yes.
That's important to know. It's a pre-K to 5 curriculum.
So we were looking for something that would also lead us into supporting that a new program for sixth grade that was aligned with what's happening in 7th and 8th grade. I think that's really important for me, and it's also important to understand that sixth grade standards are designed across the board as a middle school model, and how they're designed. So it really is important for us to know that whatever program we are putting into place is going to be something that is going to be building a good foundation for those skills that those students need in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. And that's why we believe that Bridges will be building that foundation and preparing students to be using Reveal Math.
So as I mentioned, we are aware that there are important pieces we need to put into place so that the implementation feels strong and that our teachers feel well supported in taking on new mathematics curriculum. So regardless of program, this year the elementary educators had a 7-session course taught by Mount Holyoke faculty, Making Meaning for Operations. And so that really has gotten everybody started to dig a little more deeply into their own mathematical understanding and to gain a stronger sense of the vertical alignment of math and what fractions learning looks like in kindergarten and how it stretches up all the way through elementary school, as an example. So that is already underway. We have finished up that course, and our hope is that if Bridges is adopted, that we will be using our early release days in April and May to have Bridges specific professional development, hopefully with I say local, but someone from New England who has done professional development around Bridges in some of our local districts, was very well received by those teachers. And so we're working with her so that if this comes to pass, we're ready for April and May. We're also thinking quite a bit about the first day back in August to have some good Bridges PD in place. And Chrissy and I have been talking about planning time for teachers to observe one another. Hopefully this spring to have some of our teachers who are not piloting get into the classrooms of teachers who are piloting to get a bit of a sneak peek. I did not mention Advantage Math Recovery, but some of our teachers are taking additional math professional development right now as part of our math intervention rollout. some of our non-intervention teachers are taking Advantage Math Recovery courses. So there's a lot of great math learning already happening. And materials, we're hoping that those will be in teachers' hands prior to the end of the year, because that's really important. You don't want teachers to walk into their classroom in August with 7 boxes of math materials to weed through. We're already using Bridges as an intervention program. So there is Bridges has a standalone intervention program that can be used alongside of other curricula. So that's been in use. Is this the 2nd or 3rd year in the district?
I know it was used for at least 3 years.
Okay.
I think this is at least the 3rd year.
Yeah.
So, are there any questions that we can attempt to answer?
I don't really have a question, but more of a comment. Thank you for taking the deep dive and taking the leadership in picking, finding a curriculum that's a good fit. I love hearing about excitement and optimism around math instruction. As someone who math was not my best subject, it is really great to hear that. I think students really need to get that at a young age before they start feeling like, oh, I'm not a math person. Like,
yes,
that identity is really it's good to get rid of that.
Anybody else? No?
One quick side note. The district did pay the teachers who participated for after-school work. So both last year in the EMCC Elementary Math Curriculum Committee, they were paid, and this year in the pilot group, they were paid for their time meeting after school.
And I think it's so important to recognize the amount of work that the pilot teachers have put in, both in the day-to-day in their classrooms, and then all of the additional work of supporting one another. Those pilot meetings, much of the discussion was, I found this really great thing on the Bridges educator site I want to show you, or do you know about this tool that's going to support you with your assessments? So there's really great professional learning. It is called a PLC, but it really was the P and the L were really in action there in terms of professional learning.
And I think it'll be great for these pilot teachers to be a support for this other teachers who have not had access to the curriculum yet, to be able to answer questions, or like, I suggest that when you're organizing your materials, you might want to do it this way, that kind of thing.
And how great that we can start this in April and May of this year to get going. So that is great.
Yeah, it feels great to be able to be planning ahead and have a plan in place before the end of the year, and for teachers to know, have that framework in place before they get here in August.
Yes.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to thank you both and your teachers and your staff for taking this look into, I think, what's going to be very beneficial for the students. So thank you.
Okay, I will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion. I request that the school committee consider the following motion to approve the adoption of the Bridges math curriculum for grades K through 5 and the Reveal math curriculum for grade 6.
Second.
All in favor? Great. Thank you. Thank you. We have a math curriculum. We have math curriculum. Wow. Wow.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Wow. Great. Great. Awesome. Okay.
This is something.
Moving on. So for the Six-Town Regionalization Planning Board, the request, again, just to refresh everyone's memory, is a request for when the district agreement for the Six-Town Regionalization Planning Board completes their district agreement. They are respectfully asking that Russell Dupre, our attorney, review in a technical way, which means they are just looking at the district agreement for the sixth town as it is. Just like Dupre represents Warwick, represents Gilmontague, represents us, they are requesting, because there is an appearance of a conflict of interest. Russell just wants to make sure that we approve, if we deem that acceptable, for him to review their district agreement. Any conversation, questions? Yeah.
It was mentioned that, and I think this is after those approvals, that they would go to a committee of some sort and make sure that this is not a conflict of interest, correct?
Would he? Oh,
Right,
Russell
the
would
attorney,
have
yes,
to.
the
Yes.
attorney
So
would.
so if we vote the affirmative, right, and we say yes, Russell can review it, Russell would then still have to go to the Bar of Overseers
Okay.
and the State Ethics Commission to see if it was okay and allowed. And if it's okay and allowed, then he's all
Understood.
set.
I just wanted
Yes.
to understand the,
Yep.
the process,
Yep.
and if it had already been done, because then we would prima facie know that there was a conflict of interest.
Correct.
but
Right.
I
Right.
just
There's
wanted to
there
check.
with conflict of interest. There's two. There's an actual factual conflict of interest, and then there's an appearance of a conflict of interest. And because we're interdistrict, and this is interdistrict, Russell is saying there is an appearance, and so I want the school committees to have a say in whether I represent or I review the agreement. Yeah.
May I ask, being a newer member of the committee, what is the appearance? Can you give me a understanding of exactly what the issue would be perceived as?
So I would say, and this would just be me, that the appearance of the conflict of interest would be that the sixth town would eventually dissolve Pioneer and Gilmontague. And so if the lawyer who is representing Pioneer is also reviewing a district that would eventually dissolve the district, then that could look like a conflict of interest. And so Russell has said that in order to do that, the vote for us, if we say yes, says yes, we're acknowledging that there could be the appearance of a conflict of interest, but we are giving him the approval to go forward to the next step, go to the Bar of Overseer, Board of Bar Overseers, and the State Ethics.
Thank you for clarifying, because I've picked up little bits of knowledge about this, but
Yeah.
I did want to understand what
Yeah.
the public would see this as,
Yep.
and individuals involved in both
Yep.
aspects of it.
Yep. Yeah.
Thanks very much for staying, by the way. I appreciate it. What I appreciate actually from your comments earlier and the comments we've had here is that this is a technical review.
Yep.
And I was wondering, will that be part of the motion also?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so it would be a motion. When it gets into, yes.
Yeah, so just the reasoning being
Yes.
that the technical review is not an ascertainment of merit.
No.
And not a position
No.
on the part of the attorney.
No.
It is only does the draft agreement
Yep.
adhere to state regulations
Right.
and standard of practice.
Correct. Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Hand up.
Okay. Yes. But hold on. I think we've got it. Okay. So yes. So that is exactly, like, there's no saying one way or the other. They're just looking at the legal. Does this? Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Hold on. I think. Yeah. Should we make a motion? Yeah. I think. Does anyone have a motion that they would like to?
I will
Yep.
attempt such a motion.
Yes.
I move that the Pioneer School Committee allow Mr. Dupree to review a draft district agreement for a technical review for the 6-town committee.
Yep. Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. So, all in favor? Or discussion, right? Additional discussion? Yep. Yes?
I'm new to this committee, and
Yes.
but it does feel strange to
Yes.
approve supporting an initiative that would dissolve what we're trying to build.
Yes.
Even though I understand like it's less expensive if we do it this way, it's helpful to you. Is that the idea? The towns are saying it will help
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
I don't quite.
It is.
But I
you're
understand it's
spot
just a technical review. It's not like
It is.
legal counsel to do one thing or the other, but
It
it
is.
does feel strange as an outsider.
It does.
I don't quite understand why
Yes.
why as a committee growing to build PVRs, we would support
Right.
any.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just
Yeah.
feels strange. So I'd
Yep.
love to hear.
No, I think you're
Respectfully,
right. Yeah.
you know.
No, I think you're right, and I think that what we have to, what the motion is the technical review of looking at the legalities of this district agreement, but it does, which is why we need to have a vote, because there is that appearance of a conflict of interest, right? So,
I can just expand on that a little bit. It's not, what can I say, right? This is like, gosh, I don't know, it's like the Red Sox voting to like give the Yankees some sort, like there is not just conflict of interest, but it's like, oh, let's have our lawyer look at something that would usurp us, which is not really a conflict of interest. It's almost like a fait accompli, like a death wish
Right.
for an organization.
Right. Right.
And Lord knows that's not how I would want this to appear before the public. This
Right.
is not a imprimatur from us.
right.
This is not.
We're on a good track.
Yes,
Right.
Yeah,
I
we don't
hear
look
you,
like
and
we
this is
did
I hope
back
the
when
Correct.
committee
started.
understands
Correct.
where we're coming from. That
Correct.
why would we in any way appear to endorse something that in
Yeah.
some ways does not align with what we're doing around this
Right.
table?
Right. And I think this isn't right, it isn't. And I think we need to be clear with that, right, with the motion. So, yes, it feels like, different. So, I will call the vote. So, all in favor of allowing Dupre to review technical, please raise your hand. Okay. And all opposed? 2 opposed? Okay. And I'm abstaining. So that passes 3-2. Okay. There you go. Okay. I know you are biting at the jump. I know. But
Move the meeting.
yes. Yes. There. Well, I think that we got to the result that you wanted.
Oh, please.
So
yeah,
okay.
if they're
So, yeah, and we
The
represent our town. So we're going to
6-town
continue on with our meeting. But thank you. No,
And-
Ellen, not right now. I think, yeah,
So
thank you,
I
though.
think what we can say is that if anyone is interested in getting more information about the 6-town, that you can. Their website is full of. It has a great deal of information.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
that's a good place to explore if you want to learn more about the process.
Thank you.
and-
I look at
Yeah.
meetings, but the website is a good.
Yeah, yep. Great. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. So, number C, it is letters.
Oh, back to
Yes.
reports?
Oh, right. We have to go back to, thank you. We're bouncing back to reports. So, chair report. I don't want to steal anyone's thunder. But we have a student here who might have some really fun news. And so I didn't know if I could pass and kind of you could share a little bit of what's happening with our basketball team.
Sure, definitely.
As if no one knows.
Go ahead. You're on camera. Go ahead.
The year started off very strong. We had a bunch of wins. We had, definitely good competition. But as the year went on, we figured out that everything was clicking, everything was going right, and so we continued out through the season, got into the Western Mass. We're the 1 seed in both states and the Western Mass tournament. Won the Western Mass tournament, and got into states as the number 1 seed. So we played, I think, the 32 seed in a couple of teams, and we were winning big margins, and it was really exciting. And we just beat Drury in the Final Four, so we were going to the state championships, and first time since 1988.
Yeah. Yes, thank you. Judah is on the team, and if you haven't seen a game, BNC TV is there and records the games, and Tyler does amazing. And so if you haven't caught a game, go watch the replays. Judah is so fun to watch.
He's so much fun. And he wears good sneakers.
Yeah.
He's very bright.
He's got some great energy out there. And so Saturday, if anyone isn't doing anything, at the Zonga Center at UMass Lowell at noon, Pioneer will be going against Hopedale, and tickets are now available. So get your tickets. And it's going to be awesome. So, yes,
Congrats.
It's been
We
really
will be
fun.
there.
And my favorite thing, I've gone up to the Scott Thayer, the coach, a couple times after the game. Coach, great job. And he is like, it's not me. They do all the work. They do all the work. And they are a well-oiled machine out there.
Oh, yeah.
And so he really honors the work of the students. So, yeah.
I want to share something with you, Judah. So my husband is a big basketball fan. He played basketball with Scotty Thayer. He coached girls basketball for a while, the JV team here, but is just a huge fan. He said, those boys are like college.
Oh,
yes. Yeah. You guys are. You just flow. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
And I just want to say, like, I think Judah was being a little humble. That the season was going well. If I'm not mistaken, you are undefeated.
Yes.
So you have won every game this season. So that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, it is.
Thank you.
So we're
And
we're
here
excited.
he is representing the student body with the school.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
No.
Yep.
Get Judah out of here.
So that was my report via the students. So superintendent,
All right. Continuing with basketball, there is a fan bus. The district is sponsoring a fan bus on Saturday. It should be out on Nextdoor right now. It is free. 9:45 here. There's something out on Nextdoor, and all parents should have received something via Parent Square. So you respond to that, and then the school will get back to you tomorrow telling you whether you've gotten a seat. Our first priority was getting kids into the bus. Mrs. Brennan and I will be on the bus. Miss Malsh will be on the bus. Mrs. Scanlon-Amy will meet us up there. Continuing with,
Just a quick question. How many folks fit on a bus?
Technically 71, but not really big grown adults. It's a school bus.
And how many inquiries have you had thus far?
I don't know because it went up on Nextdoor when I was up here.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Do we know a theme, Judah? Have you heard of anything?
School colors.
School colors,
Black
right?
and gold.
School colors.
Okay.
So black and gold.
Yeah.
I would
Black and
just
gold
be
is the
interested to
theme.
know if there are more inquiries than seats.
Yeah, if there were so many more inquiries than seats, then maybe there would need to be a second bus.
Right.
Yes, Jordan. Yes, Jordan. Yes, Jordan.
Okay,
And maybe there's other ways to get back.
I'm going to connect this with Mr. Burns. There is a pep rally tomorrow at 2:00 to cheer on our team and build excitements. And my understanding is that Mr. Burns has been talking a lot about his
Shocking.
game. And that Mr. Burns is going to be challenging a varsity basketball player to some kind of hoops contest during the pep rally.
Tyler, are you available? No, I'm kidding.
I'm going to see if I'm available.
Yeah, I have the day off tomorrow. I will be here with my mud boots. My
Might be some
overalls.
HR inquiries after some of the absences we're going to have at different workplaces in the area.
What is this tomorrow at 2?
I'm not sure the rules of engagement here, but I mean, I'm happy. I just turned 44, so this will be an impromptu physical to see how I'm doing. I might want Mr. Martin on hand in case there's any.
Stand by.
I don't know how my body's gonna, react to this stress, but we'll see.
Yeah.
And I can be honest, everyone who wants to go, including our superintendent, will be in fact rooting against me, which I'm fine. I'm fine to play the villain. Not the first time.
We look forward to the excitement. Yes, we do. I'm going to run through some things very quickly. Thinking of the connection between what we're doing in school and employers, Brian Miner, head of Bernardston's DPW, called yesterday morning. They have a grant to employ students at the DPW. They'd like to work with some Pioneer students.
Nice.
Our capable team in the office is on it. The Wall Street Journal had an article last week about, wouldn't you know it, some schools are thinking about opening up their wood shops again. We're ahead of the curve in Pioneer. Those Vernon students, we had a great visit by a number of Vernon families the same night as one of the basketball games. Our impression, keep your fingers crossed, people, is that there will be a nice increase in the number of 7th graders from Vernon coming here. 7th graders for school choice. You voted recently to open up 10 school choice seats in 7th grade. They're almost all full.
Nice.
We had one last year. They are almost all full. We're on a roll. The pep rally, the bus, Jordan. Okay, this is something for school committee folks at home. I'll put something out tomorrow. The budget, the state budget. There is a hearing of the Joint Ways and Means Committee, which means it's state senators and state representatives. Will be at UMass Amherst. I'll send something out on Monday the 24th. That coalition I've told you about, the 211 coalition, they are asking for people to go. We are going to see if we can get some student advisory committee members going. Annie and I are going to go. We'd love to have school committee members go. I'm working with some other superintendents to get T-shirts because I was at a gathering of elected officials last week, and they said, my goodness, last year when all you people were wearing bright pink T-shirts, that really made a difference. The legislators were looking out at the sea. So it's either pink or green this year. I don't know. But if anyone is available, I know it's tough during the day. Monday, March 24th, 11 in the morning at UMass Amherst. I'll send out the information. We'll see if we can get some family members to go. We'll get you a T-shirt. This is to advocate, and town officials, I'm going to send something to you. We'll get you a T-shirt. The state needs to change its funding formula. These schools, these 211 or 232 districts that are in, the majority of districts are in hold harmless. We're not getting Student Opportunity Act money. No one thought this. No one intended this when the Student Opportunity Act was written. This was an unintended consequence. Let's help our legislators understand. You got to fix this. So that's one thing. I'll send that out. And then I have kept my head down. We have jointly kept our heads down amidst some of the tumult in Washington. It has come home finally. It has hit us. Jordan, Miss Brown, who heads the food services department, were successful in seeking a competitive grant that funds the purchase of food from local farms to feed our children. And the federal government has cut that to the tune of $1.1 billion. So I want to read into the record the name of some local farms that will not enjoy purchases from this district this year to feed our children. Among them is Little Leaf Farm in Devens, Atlas Farm in Deerfield, Pine Hill Orchards in Coleraine, Smirowski Farm in Sunderland, Warner Farm in Sunderland, Old Friends Farm in Amherst, Bradwell Farm in Hatfield, our neighbors in Vermont, Harlow Farm, Sunnyfield Farm, Green Mountain Creamery, Green Mountain Orchards. It has. We will keep. We are focused. We are not becoming frantic. We are not. Our job is to be leaders who stay calm. But I do want put into the record that the change in Washington has now hit us. We will see what we can do to find alternative sources, but not a happy moment. I'm sorry to end on that note.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Jordan, you have the floor.
Oh, wonderful. Right, so continuing, I guess, kind of a trend in the last few meetings, so the expenditure report, things continue to be somewhat tight, but I still anticipate that we'll ultimately spend less than was originally budgeted, and And that will actually probably be even less than I have anticipated at this moment, because as you get towards the end of the year, some of the encumbrances you have, you see that you're not actually going to spend the money. So it'll probably, if anything, there could be some financial surprises, but it's pretty late in the year. We probably will know most of the surprises that come out of student need by this point. So I'm thinking that number will probably be even lower. There are some new negative balances that I made note of there that we'll address in the budget transfers. So obviously, hiring a new treasurer. The previous with the Medicaid filing expense, we had netted it out of the revenue we received, but now we're actually recognizing all the revenue on the revenue and created an expense line for the filing expense that allows us to receive that Medicaid funding. And we got a new snowblower. That's exciting. So there are some additional negative balances, but again, overall, even with those areas where a specific category is overspent, I anticipate that we'll be substantially less than originally budgeted. So that's good news. On the revenue side, again, we've been talking about it the last few meetings. I anticipate revenue coming in pretty close to where we budgeted. Right now, I'm thinking about $16,000 less than budgeted. That's a good thing. Overall, I don't. We may have a slight deficit, but we'll see. I think actually, it's likely that we'll have a small surplus. So everything's fine in terms of the balanced budget and the comparison of revenues and expenditures. I guess I'll skip forward to the lunch report and then come back to the budget transfers, just because the lunch report doesn't require any school committee action. So food service, February has very few operating days. You have both a holiday and the shortest month of the year, which partially explains having an operating loss. But I'm sorry, and that should be through February 28th, not January 31st. But there is an overall operating loss of a little over, or almost $13,000. So I've started speaking with Cheryl about ways where that we might be able to reduce our operating expenses next year. We do have a large surplus in the food service. We started the beginning of the year over $250,000, but I still think it's appropriate to start looking at ways we might be able to long-term reduce the deficit in terms of the annual operating loss, just because that surplus balance in the revolving fund provides an opportunity to, for example, buy new equipment, rather than having to do that through assessments. So I'd like to really maintain some level of that surplus. So we're looking at ways we've discussed, and I'm pretty confident that we'll come pretty close to break even this year, but we also want to look at ways to long-term reduce expenses to ensure that we're not creating a situation where year over year we continue to have losses in that program. So, nothing to raise alarms, but certainly something we're looking at, because it took, I guess, to the point Patricia's highlighting. The additional thing about the food service program is we are going to definitely have less support overall. That's, as compared to some other programs, a higher percentage, that's relying on federal funding, and we'll see how the national school lunch program, how that'll change. Right, we don't necessarily know. So we want to be proactive and start looking at ways. Again, no cause for alarm, but just be proactive and say, where we can tighten the belt, let's do it proactively, because we know federal funding is likely to go down. So that's something we're thinking about. So hopefully that's reassuring in the face of changing times. We feel like we're already out in front in figuring ways to fill some of the gaps left by the reduction in federal funding. So I have some budget transfers here. I mean, these are accumulated over several months, and any questions about any of the transfers? Happy to answer any questions. It's on the purple sheet of paper.
Yeah, purple.
And I think most of these transfers, either they're mentioned in this memo or were mentioned in previous memos, the rationale for the transfer. So I try to, as a line, I either anticipate it's going to be negative or already is, try to provide explanation each month in the expenditure report, but happy to answer any questions that people might have.
If there are no questions, I will entertain a motion.
I guess I'll make a motion to approve the budget transfer total in the amount of $83,880.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor? Okay. All right. There you go.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Jordan. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Yeah. Okay, great. Perfect. Okay.
And just so, I know.
Yeah, the night before, I'm with you, right there.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, he's making his own decision over there.
So we are going to skip over the Eversource retroactive bill. That will be on next month's agenda. So next is gift to the schools, middle school field trip.
Yeah, this is wonderful. So talked about it several times, but the folks leading this trip have done a ton of fundraising, and students have been involved as well, I'm sure. But we have another generous donation this time from the Trust Company of Vermont, who would like to donate $150 to support this trip to Broadway. Once again, to the Empire State. Some would say the best thing. So I would like to move on, I guess. Respectfully request that the school committee consider approval of the motion.
Make a motion to accept the donations of $150 from the Trust Company of Vermont and deposit the money into the PVRS student activity account to fund expenses related to the middle school field trip to New York City at Pioneer Valley Regional School.
Second.
Okay. All in favor? There we go. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next, PVRS replacement of heating control software.
Right, so in the budget process, we had made some mention, and it's actually in the capital budget for a small amount of money, $5,000, to address heat control software. And that was, as we were speaking with the vendor, what our assumption was, throughout part of the budget process, that maybe this would be a small fix and we could delay it until next year. Ultimately, our IT department looked at it, Gretchen looked at it, and CTC Inc. Looked at it, and it's not something that can wait, and the magnitude's going to be larger. So really, it's a situation where we were hoping to restore the existing system, do some repairs, and maybe it'd be somewhat cheap. Ultimately, we really need a complete upgrade. I know that, and I guess the additional piece is it can't really wait because without this upgrade, we can't change from heating to cooling. So, it's kind of a good time of year in the sense that we still have time to get this done prior to for example, hopefully by the end of April. New England gets warmer quicker than it did previously, so we need to have the heat off and what air conditioning we do have available to us. I'm thinking, hopefully prior to May, to keep the building comfortable for staff and students. We followed the normal procurement procedure as I outline here, and we received really nice references on CTC Inc., a local company, and they do work with other school districts and higher education institutions. And we looked at the overall proposal. There were pieces of it that we decided not to move forward with to make it a little more reasonable. The total cost, $59,400. And the good thing is, because, you know, our management of our school choice reserves, we have the money on hand, and so we can do it now in this kind of, I wouldn't call it a full-on emergency, but, you know, unforeseen situation. We're in the good position where we can actually take care of it, because some districts might have to wait to the following year when they actually have, you know, the assessment money. So that's another positive of having the reserves. But happy to answer any questions about the contract or project if anybody has any.
Just a comment. First of all, it's they mentioned investing already 20 hours in the project that they won't invoice for should we choose them, which is a pretty impressive.
Yeah. I certainly appreciate
offer on
that.
their part.
Yes, of course, that is. And that's a nice thing a lot of times when you are working with, you know, local companies. They understand that we always pay our bills, but we don't have a ton of money.
Did you see any options to get an extended warranty in this contract? I see that it's a 1 year. And then were there any other options to warrant it better?
Yeah, I mean, I can certainly speak with them and see if that's something that they're willing to do. I mean, I think that that's, you know, generally standard,
Sure.
1 year. And I mean, I think the good thing is the original system at this point made it 23 years, but certainly
That speaks to it,
a
doesn't
warranty
it?
does provide additional peace of
Right.
mind. So what I can do is reach out to them and see, you know, if there's any option for longer warranties, or if there would be a, you know, additional charge for that. Certainly
Yeah,
can
and I
commit
say
to
that
doing
because as we move forward, not knowing what we'll have available to maintain these systems, it would be nice to, you know, check for it. But
Oh, for
thank
sure.
you.
That's a
Thank
great
you.
point. Thank you.
Did our insurance cover any of this, or was it considered normal wear and tear?
Well, yeah,
Sometimes insurance will cover.
Sure, and I mean, I think because
failure.
it's really essentially, you know, rather than the physical plant, you know, involves software and computers more than anything else. So it's really the labor intensive, you know, part of the reason it costs so much. So short answer is no.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. Womp womp. Okay. I would accept a motion.
I will make a motion to approve the temperature control contract with CTC Inc. at Pioneer Valley Regional Schools as presented.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay,
Great.
there you go.
Thank you.
Sorry, I'm just signing that in case you need it.
Oh, thank you. Oh, we have ones in the.
Great.
Oh, thank you.
Perfect.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Annual approval of contracts. District physician, legal counsel, and recording secretary. Okay, so annually, our responsibility as school committee members is to appoint these 3 positions. We have Dr. Ruth Potee. We have Mr. Russell Dupre, and Ann Harding. Would anyone like to make a motion to approve these contracts?
Motion to approve the contracts for Dr. Ruth Potee, Mr. Russell Dupre, and Miss Ann Harding.
Second.
Okay, do we want to have any discussion? No? Okay, seeing none. Take a vote. All in favor? Aye. Or you abstain. Abstain. Aye. Okay, so everyone,
Not because
yay,
we-
except for abstain. Right, yeah, of course. Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
And I should mention just about those contracts, you know, all of them are the same amount as they were the prior year. And, you know, Dr. Potee's contract has not increased in, I think, close to 10 years. So I think similar to what Steve did, acknowledging, what CTC Inc. was doing, it is nice to have people who are looking out for the district and not asking for not only small increases, no increase over many years. So
She's also one of the most amazing medical professionals in the region, and most nurses will geek out over the fact, like, that's amazing that she is providing that service for the yeah, she's like a rock star.
Pretty amazing,
Yeah.
huh? You think she's okay?
Second. Are you?
He's okay. It's his wife.
Oh, that's amazing. Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, that's so funny. No, yeah, she's so great. When I was in nursing school, I was like, Dr. Poggi. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. All right. So we have a personnel update.
It's a very short list there.
Okay.
We have a custodial position posted. Did I sign up?
I think that we're still in the process, yeah.
Still in the
But I
process
think
on
we
that
have, the good thing is we have candidates.
Yeah, we have candidates, yeah.
Okay, great.
And we have several instructional assistant positions open.
Great.
But that's
Okay,
it.
great. Thank you.
Just a request, if that's okay, but it just strikes me having the good fortune of being here for a few years, that this can become more dynamic toward the end of the school year, which may not happen in terms of more staff sort of wondering about staying or going. It looks like this is a very, there isn't much activity currently, but if possible in a future meeting, if you have a sense of sort of staff sort of likely to stay because we're doing good things, or should we anticipate some, are there other ways, paths we can take? It doesn't have to be addressed now, but just in the ways that we thought ahead for curriculum and preparing for the next school year, are there ways that we can be proactive before the close of the school year to ensure that our great staff that we love want to stay, and that we've done due diligence in that regard?
Retention, percentages of retention kind of idea. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, retention, but that we keep great people. That's been the goal of the contract. That's been the goal of much of our work over the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Lieutenant's work and Mr. Burns' work, and just to see, are we seeing that on the ground? That's
I anticipate a much smaller hiring burden this year. Absolutely.
I'm sorry, in eloquently
Yes.
getting to.
No. Oh, okay. I expect far less turnover in faculty level staff this year, and it would be challenging for me to prognosticate on that, because we need to adhere to contract timelines.
Just recognizing
Thank you.
Okay. Enrollment update.
One more student this month.
Ooh, okay. Yes. All right. Other.
I'll take it. I'll take every single student.
That's right. And the basketball team tutor for the next year.
Graduation.
Oh, yes, please.
Yeah. Okay.
Do you want to do
okay.
it?
Yeah. For other business not anticipated. So we got an email, or I received an email about Bernardston Elementary School's 6th grade graduation is planned to be, or they're requesting to have it on June 12th at 5 o'clock. We have a school committee meeting at 6 o'clock. So for those of us, Patricia usually attends, and us school committee members usually attend. And so what I am asking the committee is if they would consider starting the meeting at 6:30 to add a little buffer, knowing that
enough?
you won't attend, I'm assuming. Correct. Yep. That's okay. we yes. So I'm not thinking that we need to reschedule the meeting, but if we just push it back to start at 6:30, then we'll have enough buffer time to have the graduation, and then us who choose to attend can then also make it here. Is that amenable? Yes. Okay, great. So yes,
I'll
please
tell
let
Taffy.
Sarah and Taffy know. Okay, thank you. Okay, upcoming meetings. We have a special school committee meeting next Thursday at 3:30. This is to 6:30. Sorry, 6:30. to hear from the towns on the response from the legal review. That is the only agenda item that we have. We have a district agreements and community relations subcommittee meeting happening on March 26th at 5 o'clock. Then our next school committee meeting will be April 10th at 6 p.m. Okay.
I don't think the three towns will be ready to talk to you next Thursday.
So, okay. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. If you could please email me a response, that would be helpful. That, yeah. Yeah. If you could email me, that would be. Yeah. Yeah.
In fact, tonight.
Okay.
Try for
So.
next Thursday now. Whatever.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, so executive session, I will entertain a motion to go into executive session.
I'll do it.
Okay.
I'd like to make a motion to enter into executive session pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A, to conduct strategy sessions in preparation for negotiations with non-union personnel, superintendent, director of finance, and operations fiscal overseer, or to conduct collective bargaining sessions or contract negotiations with non-union personnel, superintendent, director of finance, and operations fiscal overseer.
And we will, and
Bye,
we'll be
Judah.
returning
Thank you.
to.
Judah.
I'll second the motion.
I think so.
Thank you.
I think so.
Second?
Second.
Second, there's been many
I
seconds.
don't think so. We will be returning to open session. Sorry, Tyler. Yes.
Sorry, right.
No, that's okay. Yeah. No, he's just okay. All right. So we do need to make a roll call to go into executive session. So may you please start?
Melissa Osborne. Yes.
Yes.
Stephanie Arroyo, yes.
Raina Dastu, yes.
Gretchen Kelton, yes.
Stephen Martin, yes.
Melissa Gary, yes. Okay. Let's go into. Thank you.
Do I ask because I have stuff to do?
All right, thank you for your patience. We are back from executive session. So we have 3 contracts to approve. The first contract to approve is the fiscal overseer with Joe Scanlon. So would anyone like to make a motion to accept Joe
I'll do it.
Scanlon's fiscal overseer appointment?
I'd like to make a motion to accept the contract for Joe Scanlon as the fiscal overseer.
Thank you.
Seconded?
Okay, all in favor? Yes, okay. All right,
I'd like to make a motion to accept the contract for the superintendent of schools, Patricia Kinsella.
Second.
okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Yay. Thank you.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Lastly, I'd like to make a motion to accept the contract for Jordan Burns, the Director of Finance and Operations.
Okay,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Yes.
And also,
Yay. Okay.
Lucky
All
us.
right. Thank you so much. And we will adjourn at 8:24.
Thanks,
Okay.
everybody.
Thank you very
Oh,
much.
I'll make
Oh,
that
I'll
I'll
motion.
make a
Sure.
motion to adjourn.
Second.
Yep, second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
everybody.
There we
Well
go.
done.
Thanks,
Thank you.
everybody.
Really
Thank you.
appreciate it.